setting OMG up.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 329 of the OMG Hour. We are back after being away for 2 weeks, and this week we will be your optimal mega Goldbugs. And of course, I am one of them. I am Sean Evans, otherwise known as Zion-Tane.
And I am Tico, Mr. Second Place.
Welcome back, Tico.
Well, I didn't go anywhere. You're the one who decided to leave the country.
Oh, it's my fault. Is that what you're saying? It's all my fault.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Okay. I'm gonna bring up the chat here so we can see who's online with us.
What I was getting at.
Okay. I'm going. Good. I love it when I get the audio in the audio we just talked about 30 seconds ago into the video. So we're back. Yes, I was away for 2 weeks almost. A week and a half. We basically covered 2 Fridays, so we couldn't record. Yeah. But we are back, and we have a very full show for you this week. We've got, actually, later in the show, we've got a great interview lined up for you. So we're just going to jump right in. We're going to talk about some new games that just recently came out that we've been playing. Tico, do you want to start us off with yours?
Yes. So I was lucky enough to get a copy of another remaster.
Because you love the remasters.
I am a fan.
Well,
if it's a game that if it's a remaster of a game I liked, I love it because then I get to play that game again with achievements again.
I was just going to say the reason you love remasters is because you get another 1,000 achievements for the same game.
For the same game. So, Sniper Elite V2 remaster. This is actually the first Sniper Elite game I ever played initially. I had never really been into sniper games. I'd never really tried them or played them, or and this was the first one I.
That's because you're not very good at being a sniper.
I'm not horrible. I mean, I've gotten better. I got better. It's a fun game. It's World War II. You are you're hopping around, I'm assuming.
You're hopping.
Hopping around, like jumping. So you're basically going around and you've got missions to snipe people. There's a lot of there's a lot of guys running at you, but they for the most part hunker down and you can just like take your time and pick them off, and it's fun. It's got the Sniper Elite, the standard the slow-mo zoom, the hold your breath, and then the X-ray shot, the zoom-in X-ray shot.
I love the bullet X-ray shots. Those are awesome.
Just fantastic. I mean, like some of the newer ones they have like the groin shot where you can show it actually shows the testicle exploding when you hit it. But it is just very satisfying when you pick off an enemy sniper from like halfway across the map, and it just does that zoom in and brings you right in. And you get that X-ray thing as it shows their body just like destroyed by that bullet.
Yeah. Now, I tried playing Sniper Elite V2. I was told it was actually better than 3, but I highly disagree with that statement. Sniper Elite 3 and Sniper Elite 4 were just incredible.
They were really well done, and they added a lot of stuff with the different types of guns. You only have 3 or 4 types of guns in this. Not a lot of other real options with this stuff. This one here is really fun, and it's it's great to take out the Nazis and stuff.
This is a remaster. So how does it line up to today's standards? Is it a good remaster? Do you still feel like it looks like a 360 game or what?
No, it feels like a modern game. It does not. Obviously, you can see that some of the textures and stuff like that, they've been cleaned up, and but it's a lot smoother textures and stuff like that than what we're used to seeing, where you can see the detail in the textures in newer games that are made now.
Right. Okay.
But I actually kind of like that in this game because it particularly a game when you're like, okay, where's this guy who's shooting at me? The less detail of the background, the better, so it's easier to figure out where the guy is.
Right.
Whereas what was it? The jungle one was that 4 or
the jungle?
Was that a different sniper game? That was Sniper Warrior was the one that was in the jungle, and okay, I've got to take somebody out. Everybody's wearing camouflage and blending in. It is not easy.
No, I guess it wouldn't be.
but I have a lot of fun with this. Not enough times in this game because this is the first one where you get to take out vehicles, which I think in 3 was one of the heavy components, is like aiming at the gas tanks and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
There's a few spots where you do that in this game. They obviously realized how much fun that is to do, to take out a tank by hitting the gas cap and.
Yep. Or even taking out the driver of a tank through the little slit.
Yeah. So that stuff there, like, you sort of miss that. Honestly, this is a great remaster. It plays well, it plays smooth. Like, at no point do the controls feel awkward or uncomfortable. Everything feels very natural. It looks good. It's a remaster, so you're not going to get the current textures and stuff like that you'd want out of if they were making this brand new. But I had a lot of fun with this. I know this is out on, remastered on Xbox, PlayStation, and out for the Switch as well, which we did try out at PAX very briefly.
I think wasn't that Sniper Elite 3 on the Switch, or was it this one?
No, it was this one. It was the V2 on the Switch.
Okay.
Which I felt on the Switch that the controls felt a little weird because of how you had to hold things, and
it was weird, and it was also because the screen is so small and you're zooming in on this I was going to say creature, not from these guys that are already in the distance. They're even smaller on the Switch, so they're even harder to see. I found it. I mean, obviously you can play the Switch on the television, but as a portable game, I just don't know if I would want to play it portable with being how far away guys are sometimes when you're shooting them.
Okay, I grabbed this screenshot particularly because when I shot that guy, it took his whole lower jaw off.
I saw that. That was awesome.
And then, this is the screenshot. This is the rest of my play was not brilliant, but that shot, because it just took his whole lower jaw right off, which was fantastic. Not that that's something that we should strive for, but I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this game. It makes me want more sniper games. I know that in this series, you've got V2 Remaster, 3 and 4, and then there's the zombie Army trilogy that you can get as well.
Oh, right. Which is based on the engine for V2, right?
It's the engine from V2. It was actually a mod, and they took it and actually put it out as a full game. So
that's right.
Really fun series. I like what they've done with this.
Awesome. So Brian is on. Brian said he says hello to both of us, and he says he missed us. So that's very nice. Thank you, Brian.
Oh.
We missed being here. It is, I got to tell you, it is always really strange when we go a week without recording the show.
Yeah, it feels odd.
Yeah. So let's go from V2 to VR, shall we? What? You didn't like that? No?
The only reason you let me go first is so you could make that bad joke.
Just so I could do that.
Just for that.
That's the... So this week I was playing a game called Blood and Truth, and this is on PlayStation VR. And I got to tell you, I think I told you way back when VR first came out, it came out with VR Worlds, and there was a game in it, a demo game called, well, I wouldn't say it's a demo game, it was a short game because they're all samples of what the VR can do, and there was one called The London Heist.
I played that when I came over to you. That was one of the ones that I really enjoyed that didn't actually make me nauseous.
It is the best experience on VR Worlds, The London Heist. This game is essentially a spiritual successor to that. It has taken that game, expanded on different story, but they've taken that style game and made it a complete 6-hour adventure out of this thing. And this has everything. This has lock picking, where you actually have to take your two lock picks in one in each hand, put it in the hole. You have to twist one and then flick up with the other one. Kind of like you're actually picking a lock. This is you with 2 move controllers. You actually climb up ladders. If you have to climb up a ladder, you're actually physically climb up the ladder with both hands. There are air vents that you can climb through as you're sneaking your way through this building. But you're actually pulling yourself, with your hands, pulling yourself through the air vent. Right? Everything you do in this game feels amazing. So like I said, lock picking, climbing up ladders. There's the climbing through the vents. There's surveillance. There was one scene where you can, as you can see on the video now, where I'm going to be looking at surveillance cameras. I have to select which camera I want, and I can basically grab the joystick in the game and move move the cameras around to find what I'm looking for.
Very cool. And this is like a noir, like 50s.
No,
noir
it's
type?
modern. It's modern day.
Modern?
It's modern
Okay.
day. Sort of this family. It's sort of a family vengeance story. A family gets this. I don't know, like a mobster guy trying to take over a family business. Your character is someone who's back from being in the army, so he's like an army vet. And so the family has taken it upon themselves to take down this cartel mob boss. And so, you're shooting your way through these buildings. You can have a gun on your back. So when you have a semi-automatic on your back, you actually
like a Die Hard moment.
Well, no, but you actually physically reach behind you to grab the gun and bring it forward.
Yeah.
And you can hold it with both hands to aim it better, right? There's a pump action shotgun where you have to hold with both hands. So with your left hand, you're pumping it, and with your right hand, you're shooting it. The biggest thing about this that I think is absolutely fantastic is they have nailed, and they've come up with the best movement scheme in VR that I have ever seen. So instead of having to decide where you're going and actually move, or even the one that I hate, the point and click move, because you can't do that when you're shooting, right? How are you supposed to point and click while you're in the middle of a battle?
Yeah.
So there are times when it's sort of an on-rails shooter where you're just constantly moving and you just have to shoot. Reloading your gun, you actually have a strap on your chest with your ammo. So you actually have to grab the ammo from your chest and pop it into the gun in your other hand. That's how you reload your ammo.
Very cool.
But the movement, when you're not in the heat of battle, or even sometimes when you're heating the battle, you just look to where you want, and there are set places where you can move to. So you look, you see a location, and you just click one button, and the game just moves you there, and you can shoot while you're moving, because you're not physically moving yourself. The game
puts
is
you on
moving
rails.
It basically, you're sort of on this set rail, where you can say, go there, it rails you to that spot, and then you can you go behind cover, you can pop out of cover to shoot, you can look everywhere. This game is basically designed so that everything is happening always in front of you. You never have to worry about what's behind you. Always in front of you. So it is a sit down and play the game, but in full VR, and it is beautiful. It is so well done. And just, it really feels like you're there. This is, when I say this, I am not even being facetious. This is by far the best VR experience, the best VR game yet. The unfortunate part is it took 2.5 years to get here.
Yeah.
But it is unfreaking believable. Absolutely fantastic. It is absolutely perfect in how it handles VR and all of the different things you can do. It is honestly a complete joy to pick locks. You grab the 2 lock picks from your tool, you stick one in, you're turning one, and you can see the pin, right? So you when you get the pin to a certain spot, you flick up with your other hand and it locks the pin into place. And then there's certain ones where there's multiple pins, so you then do it again for another, and you just literally, it feels like you're picking a lock, It is so well done. That's blood and truth for PSVR. If you are a fan of PSVR, you have to get this game. This is a must-buy for PSVR.
What is the price point on that? Do you know?
That is a good question. This was provided by Sony for review.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure what the price point is on it. But even if it's a full-price game, honestly, this is worth playing. From other things I've read, I have not finished the game. I'm probably halfway through. I played for several hours. It is so engaging. I have heard that it is a 6-hour campaign, and for a VR game, that is substantial. Absolutely, get this game if you have VR. It is a must-buy. They should pack this in. This should be a pack-in to a VR bundle.
All right, it is a $49.99 Canadian price point.
Perfect. So it's $40 American, probably $39.
That
is worth it.
The cover art looks awesome. It looks like like you'd expect for like a crime crime movie.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's what it is, right? It's essentially a crime family, tale. But yeah, it is. I cannot tell you how engaging and how amazing it is to be in that world playing the game. Now, I haven't found it, overly difficult per se. You tend to have a fair bit of life in you, when you're getting shot, because, and I think for a VR game, it kind of has to have a little bit of leniency, because sometimes you go to grab your ammo and you're not quite hitting the right spot. So you go to load your gun and nothing happens. So you're kind of fumbling.
Up.
Yeah, basically, right? So you're kind of struggling. And so meanwhile you're getting shot. So there's a little bit of, I guess, leniency that way, a little bit of forgiveness in the game. But it's good. If you look down the sights of the gun, you can actually see a green sight, so you can line up so you know if you're hitting perfectly. Which is really nice in a VR game. You can line up the red dot through the scope, and plays really, really well. Anyway, I could go on about this game because it is Could
you go on?
I could, but I won't.
Shouldn't.
But I won't.
We have one other game to talk about.
Because this is another game I could go on and on about. A Plague Tale: Innocence. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front, the 5-minute video I've put together for you right now just scratches the surface of what this game is. A Plague Tale: Innocence takes place, I think, 700 years ago. I think it's like 1200 or something.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be almost 800 years ago. But it tells the tale of a sister and a brother. And the brother, for some reason, is being hunted by the knights in this era. We don't quite know why, though. They're a royal family, like from a lord's house. Your family gets attacked right at the beginning of the game, and it's up to you as the sister to protect your brother. But what happens shortly after the game starts is you realize that there is a plague of rats in the city that come out at night. And the only thing that will save you from rats is light. Or, fire, essentially, right? That is the only thing that protects you from the rats. This is a stealth game. Really, really well done stealth. The only weapon you have is a slingshot, and you get different items for the slingshot. So you start out with just a stone that can distract enemies. So if you throw it like at a pot, they'll go and they'll investigate what's there, and you can sneak behind him. So it is not you're not attacking the soldiers.
You just have to get past them.
You have to get past them by trying to distract them. Once the rats are introduced, some of the enemies will have, like at night, they'll have lanterns. So you can, even if they see you, you can shoot out the lantern and the rats will devour the enemy. But you also have to stay in the light or you will be devoured. It is an absolutely fantastically crafted game. It feels good to play. The acting in it is superb. The dialogue between the sister and the brother is so believable. It is so innocent. It's so right on. They're constantly talking to each other too. It's not just like, here's something we say and then they're going to talk again when they get to a certain cutscene. They are constantly talking throughout the adventure, and it doesn't feel forced. It's really, really well done.
Do you only control one of the characters, or
you only control the sister? So you always have to make sure you can tell the brother to stay where he is in case if you need to leave and go do something without him. But if you leave him alone too long, he'll get scared and he could attract the enemy. So you want to basically stay with him as long as you can. So you're basically holding his hand throughout. Now, the rats essentially pose, not just the rats, but even the soldiers during the daytime. They're essentially a puzzle of how do I get past them? How do I get through this area without dying? Because you're not a fighter.
Yeah.
You have your slingshot, which is more of a tool than a weapon. Yes, it can be used as a weapon. You can upgrade it by getting materials and finding a workbench. One of the earlier upgrades is to upgrade it so that a headshot will instantly kill a soldier. But a lot of soldiers have helmets on too, so it's not going to instantly kill them. But you also don't want to attract soldiers because you can't fight. Right? If you're up against one soldier, you could probably take him out with your slingshot. You're not going to take out 3 or 4 of them ever.
And you're going to be forced to run into areas where there's rats or whatever because you're trying to escape.
That's right.
It looks absolutely beautiful.
Oh, it is a gorgeous game. It really, really is. It is beautiful.
It reminded me the early stuff I saw on this reminded me of Hellblade, the visuals of Hellblade.
It is. It really is because it's that dark, dreary, but gorgeous. You know what I mean? And it's also taking place during a plague, so there's dead people, there's dead creatures everywhere. The rats are devouring, like there's blood all over the ground. Like there are parts in it that if this were real life it'd be really disgusting, like walking through a pile of dead animals. You know what I mean? But the game is so unbelievably well done. It is like I'm like I said, the video I've put together for those watching YouTube is literally just scratching the surface of what this game is. It is absolutely wonderful game to play. And the puzzles are fun to try to figure out. You know, having to make sure you have fire to get through a swarm of rats. And you can pick up a stick, for example, and light it from a torch, but it only lasts
it's going to burn
30
down,
seconds, right? It burns down, so you need to get to the next point, maybe start a fire or get to another lantern where you can, throw it away because it's going to burn out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the rats and essentially how you get through each level is more of a puzzle than a let's just take care of all the enemies. It's just how do I get through the enemies, not kill them all.
Yeah. This looks great. And I've heard everything I've heard about this has been fantastic, and
it is gorgeous. It's a beautiful game. The story is amazing. The acting is spot on. I love the interaction between the two characters. Like you couldn't ask for better. Just the innocence of both children in this game. There's a scene early on when the sister actually kills a guard for the first time, and you can see the horror in her face over what just happened.
Yeah,
right?
It's not like us, the game player who are used to killing people every 5 seconds.
Right. No, it's like she just realizes what she had just killed a guard, and she was in shock the fact that what did I just do? So it feels real. And the story is really well done. Like I said, it's not just these two as well. You do come up, you meet other people who travel with you for a time that help you out. And it's really about, it's getting your brother to where he needs to go and also trying to figure out what's wrong with him. There is something wrong with him, but you don't know what. And I think there's going to be some reveal later on.
Now, you haven't finished yet.
I haven't finished it yet. I've played it for a few hours, and I just love it.
So I wonder if there's going to be more Plague Tales, too. Like, this is Plague Tales Innocence. I wonder if there's going to be more chapters.
And that's what I'm wondering, too. Yeah, it has a subtitle, A Plague Tale Innocence. So I don't know if that's like a part 1 of a trilogy or a planned trilogy or not. I don't know. But again, like Blood and Truth, as a must-buy, I believe A Plague Tale is a must-buy for if you just love story-based adventure that is more about the adventure than it is about combat. Yeah. It is an absolute must-buy. Like, seriously.
This is, I believe, $66.99 Canadian is the price point on this guy.
So it's almost a full-price game, but it's...
Yeah.
Again, I think it's worth it. It is so well done. I have not played anything like it. It is very unique in its game style. And just... You should see the number of rats that can be on screen at any given time is mind-boggling. And they swarm like rats. They don't just feel like... I don't know how to describe it, but it looks like a swarm of rats, and each individual rat is trying to get to you type thing, right?
Yeah.
It is so well... I don't know. I keep repeating myself. I know. I'm sorry. I do that when I'm excited. But, A Plague Tale Innocence... absolutely wonderful. That was provided to us for review from the publisher. So thank you for that. Just definitely check it out. You know, maybe I'll stream another chapter of it. When I get back into it, I'll stream one of the chapters, and you can see what
cool.
that's like.
Yeah.
It is a gorgeous game. Plays really well. Like I said, acting is so well done, and the puzzles. I'm going to call them puzzles because it's really what it is. Really smart. And good. So yeah, check it out for sure.
Very cool.
I think I've talked enough. I've said it's well done many times.
It's well done?
I think it is, for sure.
So it's well done.
I'm sorry. When I get excited about a game, I tend to repeat myself. I know you've probably noticed that over the years, but when it comes to these two games this week, because it's been a bit of a dry spell lately for games.
There's not been a lot out. We're gearing up towards E3, so you know a lot of the studios go very quiet.
Yeah.
Around this time as they start prepping their big announcements. I mean, from everything I've seen on Twitter, everybody's starting to do their show run-throughs and stuff like that. So we're really seeing not a lot right now. So we're in that spot where we're not seeing releases of really good games right now too, because
right exactly, because E3 is coming. But so with the dry spell and then suddenly these two games fall on my plate, I'm through the roof because they're both really well done and I'm enjoying them immensely.
Excellent.
So we need to move on. One thing that came out this week, I want to talk about just really quick. So Death Stranding's release date came forward, November 8th of this year, which I'm going to tell you right now, I will believe it when I see it. They've said November 8th, whatever. I honestly would not be surprised in the least if it gets pushed to next year.
I don't know if they... my bet is November 8th is going to be a hard and fast date.
Really?
I don't know why, but I think this is coming out. Because we don't know anything about the game yet. I think that if they really weren't sure if it's going to go, they'd start trying to sell people on it more and not just give you a date. I think that they're giving you that date because that's how they're selling you on when it's coming. I think it's going to be November 8th. I don't know what it's about. I don't know what happens. All I know is that Daryl from The Walking Dead has a baby.
That's right.
And that is...
So here's the weird thing. You say that we don't know what it's about, and yet this week they launched a 9-minute trailer for this. A 9-minute trailer, of which you and I both watched the whole thing.
Yes. Well, I only watched 8.5 minutes of it.
We still don't know what the game's about. Because it's weird. I have a small inkling.
Yeah, I have some thoughts as to what it might have to deal with, but I don't really know exactly.
But it's weird. It makes
how it's going to be played, and if it's going to be. That's the thing. I don't know if it's something I need to be excited about or not.
Right.
Like I've seen you see a trailer for some of these other games. It's like I know I like that style of game. I know I'm going to be into this, and I can't wait for this to come out. For this one here, it's like, man, there's a release date. Thank goodness, but I don't know if I'm excited about that release date or not.
Right.
Like,
because I don't know what play. I don't know what kind of game it is.
Yeah,
I have no clue. And the trailer is mostly cinematic.
Yeah.
Right. Other than showing images of Daryl's character walking through wildernesses, and at one point he fights some people, but I feel like that was the only gameplay we actually saw.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think we'll probably... they've announced a release date now before E3. My guess is that it will have some stage presence.
For
somewhere.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we'll see.
All right. We have an interview coming up for you. But before we do that, we want to get into our TV talk first.
Yes.
So last time we spoke, I was starting to watch Game of Thrones. To catch up and try to get
season 2.
I was season 2 because I had watched season 1 years ago.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm going to start at season 2 and continue on. Season 2 was 1,000 times better than season 1 in my opinion.
Yeah.
And in the course of 3 weeks, Tico,
that's the one nice thing about going away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because every night after work, all I have to do is sit in a hotel room where I can watch 4 or 5 episodes every night of Game of Thrones. I completed the entire series. And all I'm going to say is I think I have a unique perspective on the series as a whole because I know a lot of people complained about Season 8. There'll be no spoiler talk here at all. A lot of people complained about Season 8. I heard the complaints. I tried to stay away from spoiler talk. But I heard people were saying it felt rushed. They didn't like the direction it went. I don't think a lot of people didn't like how it ended. From someone who watched it essentially from start to finish in a 3-week period, I had absolutely no issues with Season 8. And I think the reason for that, Tico, is that there was foreshadowing back in Season 2 of what happens in Season 8. And
yes,
I think you got to remember, Season 2 was 8 years ago.
Yeah, they had long layovers in between seasons. And
Season
and
7,
people,
Season 7 and 8, there were 2 years in between them.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you did not rewatch, then it's going to not necessarily be like, oh, that's fresh. I remember that happening.
So here's the thing. People thought it was too short. It was rushed. I get it, because you were waiting 2 years for 6 more episodes, which felt like nothing.
Well,
now
here's what happens. The thing is, I'll point out real quick here. They'd already unlocked fast travel to all those locations.
That's right.
So, you don't need 4 or 5 episodes of them traveling. They just open the map, click on the thing.
That's right.
And they're there.
They just go exactly with it. From one episode to another, they're already 1,000 miles away.
That's the people don't understand how fast travel works. That's the problem.
I very quickly in a 3-week period became a huge fan of Game of Thrones and thinking to myself, what was I waiting for? But like I said, I think I almost enjoyed it more than people who watched it from the beginning, because I was able to watch it as a whole, essentially in one short 3-week period.
It was just a big 80-hour movie for you.
Well, it was, and not even being facetious, but yes, that's what it felt like. And so to me, it didn't feel rushed, and some of the stuff that happened in Season 8 didn't feel out of place. It didn't feel wrong to me, because I saw the signs of all that weaving through it.
Parts of that, and again, from somebody who watched as it aired, when you have a 2-hour gap from one season to the next, you're sitting in your head.
2-year gap?
2-year gap.
Yeah.
So you had a 2-hour gap.
I had a 2-hour gap. You had a 2-year gap.
2-year gap. What you're looking at, and you're speculating, and you're hey, this is who's going to end up on the Iron Throne, and this is who's going to kill this person, and this is how this is, and you're running through all those scenarios in your head for 2 years.
Yeah. And
so you've built up what you're expecting to happen, and if it doesn't go exactly the way your brain had decided it was going to go,
then it feels wrong.
It's going to feel like you were let down because it didn't go that way.
That's right.
You didn't have the amount of time to build up all of those theories and stuff like that.
I had no time.
All of the things.
I had no time to build up theories, because I literally went from episode to episode to episode from one day to another.
Yeah. So your experience was basically, I saw this and now I see this, and that ties together.
And exactly.
Whereas 2 years. Well, this is why this is happening. Oh, that guy should be, doing that at that time.
Now,
I can't believe that guy did that.
I will say, before we move on, that remember what you had told me. Many people said this to me, but you said, don't get attached to characters.
Yes.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. Every single one of my favorite characters made it to the final episode.
So, and the reason a lot of people have said that is not necessarily because their favorite characters had died off. It's moreover because they didn't trust them not to die off after seeing the number of characters that were killed off early. It's like, I don't know if that guy's going to be safe. It's like the same thing with Walking Dead with Daryl. Everybody's like, if they kill Daryl, we riot.
Oh my gosh, right? Yeah.
Right?
Actually, no, originally it was if they killed Glenn, we riot. Because remember, there was years ago where we thought Glenn was dead, and then he comes back. He wasn't dead, but I remember that. If Glenn is dead, we riot. Now it's Daryl, right? But I agree. If Daryl dies, we riot. But anyway.
So this is the thing. So, then this is the thing. Like, you don't want to get attached to a character because
it's hard not to, though.
George R.R. Martin, he is the type of guy who will kill that person because you told him you liked that guy.
I know. But anyway, We should move on because,
Yeah.
like I said, we've got a long interview, and I don't want to run too much over time. Blood and Treasure started recently, a new show. Why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so this is a new show. I don't know what station it's on because, who watches stations anymore? That's weird.
What's a station?
The television station where you turn to a channel.
A channel? Is that like a
Yeah.
YouTube channel?
No, it's like a thing on your... Remember the TVs where you had to click them?
Right, click.
That's how old we are. 13 channels on the TV is what
I remember the clicker with a box with the clicker, and it had like two rows. You could go top row, bottom row, and then click the button, and it was wired to your television. That's the converter.
And we're old.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so this is basically it feels like a Tomb Raider type show. It really feels like Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider type thing. So it is a former FBI agent and a former thief who have to team up to try to stop I'm assuming it's a terrorist or something, some sort of a bad guy who has stolen Cleopatra's sarcophagus from the pyramids.
Because that's what you do, right? You steal sarcophagi.
They do. Well, and at the beginning, I think it was the Nazis who stole it because, Well,
that's Indiana Jones.
Yeah, so it really feels like that sort of a thing. It's very tongue in cheek with some of the humor and stuff like that. There's they used to date, so there's they hate each other, but they still like each other. Sort of will they, won't they?
You're literally describing Whiskey Cavalier.
Yes, but as treasure hunters, basically.
So is it that kind of humor?
It is that type of humor, yeah.
I mean, Whiskey Cavalier this week was canceled, season 1,
yes.
Which I believe means that we will see Lauren Cohen come back to The Walking Dead.
Unless she gets another job, I don't see why she wouldn't.
I think she needs to go back. I think Maggie needs to return.
She's not dead. Why not?
Maggie was never written off the show. She just went somewhere. She's just not there. But she was never killed off. She was suddenly gone.
You know what would be cool? My speculation right now would be cool. After they finish this next season, with, the Skinwalker people.
Yes.
If she comes back as the bad guy in the following season.
Oh my gosh. What?
They turn her into the bad guy. Wouldn't that be a cool twist?
Wow.
If that happens, I demand full producer credit.
Wow. One more TV thing. Swamp Thing starts tonight, actually, May 31st.
I am really excited about this.
I saw a trailer for this. It looks amazing.
So it is directed by James Wan, who's done The Conjuring and Annabelle and like all of these horror movies, and it is being produced as a horror TV show. Yeah,
and it looks well done. Now, this is the one that got cut back, so I think it's only 10 episodes. And this is a DC Universe show.
Yeah.
But wow, does it ever look good?
I think it was cut back because people aren't subscribing to their channel. They don't have
exactly.
They don't have the capital to fund all of the extra episodes.
They also don't
quality of the show.
But they don't have quality shows.
No. Well, I mean, this stuff is okay. I like Doom Patrol and Titans. They're not good, but I will watch pretty much anything.
I mean, you can build a show. You can build a series on The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones. You can't build a service on the DC Universe. It's not that good.
Not current. No, I mean they clearly need a lot of work in order to make this channel work. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with it. I mean, everybody wants to have a streaming service. Why don't we do a streaming service, Sean?
Let's do a streaming service.
We can host it on YouTube or something.
But before that, let's get to an interview. So last night we sat down with Drew Nolasco, who is the global brand manager of Transformers TCG, the trading card game. This is a game that we saw at PAX East, and Tico and I loved it right from the beginning. So you know what? We're going to basically end the show with this great interview with Drew. We'll be back for just a couple of minutes afterwards, but sit back, relax, and enjoy.
OMG.
So we have Drew Nolasco on with us from Wizards of the Coast. Specifically, Drew, you're the global brand manager for the Transformers TCG trading card game. Can you tell us a little bit about the Transformers TCG, because it's relatively new in the TCG arena?
Hey guys. So first, I'm super happy to be on the show. Thank you so much for inviting me. Hello from Wizards Land to all your fans. So yeah, the Transformers TCG came out late last year. So we released around late October 2018, and we are coming up on our third booster set. So
Wow.
that is it's a big milestone for us. The Transformers trading card game is a generations-themed tactical combat game where you choose a team of Transformers characters and then build a deck of battle cards, things like weapons, armor, special actions, and it really represents a fight between two groups of Transformers. One of the hallmarks of the trading card game is the fact that our character cards flip from bot mode to alt mode, and the vast majority of the character cards, unless they're representing characters that were really tiny, are very big cards, twice the size of an average playing card. And we even have some characters that, like Combiners, which are teams of Transformers that can unite to form a much larger character. Those end up being significantly larger than your average playing card.
Right, right. Now, coming into this arena, I mean, the TCGs is huge. Everyone knows, like Magic the Gathering, which also comes from Wizards. How did you set about creating a TCG that, I mean, we played this at PAX East with you, and it is very different than Magic. It plays in a very different way. How did you go about creating that that kind of mechanic? Can you kind of describe what the mechanic is behind this game and how you made it different from something like Magic, which is very mana based or energy based?
Sure. That is one of the fundamental differences between Transformers trading card game and Magic, and indeed many other trading card games, is that there's no resource system built into the game. So you're not slowly building up resources and then deploying your characters. Your team of characters start in play in their vehicle mode, their alt mode. And the development of that came from us setting a number of goals for what we wanted to see out of the Transformers trading card game. And high on that list was it has to feel like Transformers.
Right.
And that was the North Star that we always looked at, and we judged all our decisions on. It needed to feel authentically Transformers. And the Transformers is a giant brand, right? And it has lots and lots of expressions, and Transformers has had everything from tactical combat games to strategy games to movies to toys. And one of the things that was a uniting element of the Transformers franchise that we felt was a great thing to represent with a trading card game is that bot-to-bot combat. So we wanted to have that fast feeling, and that led to the decision to A, start your team of characters in play, and B, not have the slow resource buildup that many resource-based trading card games have.
Right.
It was critical to us that the first turn of the game for each player involved combat. So, though that design box that we created there led to a lot of really complex discussion. We went through many months of design, and I think that something like 18 or 19 individual research and design members submitted rule systems to the process, and then we play tested each of these systems and said, oh wow, there's an element of this system that's really fantastic, but I don't think this whole system really represents what we want. But let's remember this bit, and then we just iterated and iterated and iterated. And one of the staff members here, a guy named Brian Hawley, who is now the head of Magic's play design team, which is the team that basically does the work, the balancing and final design work on every Magic set. He synthesized a lot of fantastic ideas into one core rule system that felt like Transformers, allowed for us to have the flexibility to do all of the cool and interesting and sometimes crazy things that Transformers toys do. Was an easy to grok rule system, so that both enfranchised fans of Transformers who had never touched a trading card game, as well as people who regularly play trading card games as their primary tabletop hobby, could have a great experience right off the bat and then still had the possibility of adding significant depth, particularly in deck building and the tactical choices, so that everyone who approached the game could enjoy the game at a level that was comfortable for them. And this was it's proven out in not just in testing, but in actual play with real players and real Transformers fans. It was a really awesome process.
Now, can you describe to our viewers or our listeners how you go about creating a deck and how you limit the number of Transformers you can put into it? Tico and I know because we've played it, but can you just describe to everybody how you've implemented, what system you've implemented to kind of limit the power of somebody's deck?
Certainly. So every Transformers character card has a star value, which is basically a representation of how powerful that card is. And the stars range from 4 to 25. And when you're building your team and deck, because you build them separately and then play with them together, you can choose up to 25 stars worth of cards to include.
Okay.
And that could be, say, one 25-point character like Metroplex, who is this gigantic titan whose alt mode is an entire city, Autobot City. And you might remember him. He's shown up. He was one of the biggest toys in the G1 line. Sorry, he was the biggest toy.
Yeah.
And his card is physically gigantic. It's almost the size of a letter-sized piece of paper. Or you could take, for example, the Constructicons, the first combiner team, which are 6 characters who total up to 25 stars. So there's a bunch of 4-star characters, 5-star characters, and that flexibility allows us to both create Transformers characters that feel really representative to the power level of that character in the franchise, and also gives us the variety of playstyles. For example, in the current metagame, which is the sort of game of games where you pick which deck you think is going to do well, there are decks that are successful that feature 2 very expensive characters. One's called, a popular deck is called Twin Primes, and it has Optimus Prime in his battlefield hero, the battlefield leader, that is the Prime that is great at physically fighting himself. He's an awesome warrior. And it has the evil clone of Optimus Prime called Nemesis Prime, and they fight together. That's 2 characters, 25. And then there's the Insecticons are a swarm deck. You play several Insecticons. That's a very different playstyle. And then recently in the last booster set called Rise of the Combiners, we introduced battle cards, which are these actions and weapons, and some of them cost you stars as well. So they're more powerful than average, but they cost a star. Mm-hmm. And that lets you fill out teams that might have weird combinations of stars, or you could focus on a very powerful battle deck. So there's a lot of options. But ultimately, 25 stars worth of cards, and then 40 of the battle cards minimum in a deck. You can go more, but most people play 40.
Now, you just brought up the Rise of the Combiners, which is Wave 2, I believe. Now, why don't you describe to everybody the unique card design you came out with, what you call the 3-sided card?
Those are really, really neat, yeah.
Remember when I said that one of the core goals was to be able to have our trading card game do all of the unique and sometimes really weird things that Transformers toys do?
Right.
One of the key decisions was to not make your character cards have to shuffle into your deck. So they're objects that start in play, they stay in play, and they never get shuffled. Which means that we are able to break out of the limitations of what a collectible card is, in that it doesn't need to be the same as uniform shuffleable. So we have this technology that we borrowed from one of our other games called Duel Masters, which is a trading card game that we release only in Japanese in Japan. And they pioneered a technology called 3-sided cards. And I'm gonna use my hands. I should have brought a prop. The cards are hinged like a book. So let's say this is my robot. Is this clear? Is this my robot mode?
Yep.
And I flip it, and that's my alt mode, and that's pretty typical. But then there's a hinge on the card, and it opens up, and that's the leg or arm or torso of a giant combiner robot.
Yeah.
So let's say you were playing the Dinobot combiner team, who make this giant character called Volcanicus. So you'd have a bunch of Dinobots, and then when you do the things necessary to combine, there's a card called an Enigma that you have to find and play. You unfold all your cards at their hinge, and then unite them on the table to make a character that's like this big.
And it's a 25-star character.
That one is. Most of the combiner teams are 25 stars. There are some funky things we did with some of the teams in order to make them feel more authentic to how that team of characters exists in the Transformers universe.
Right.
But most of them are 25 star teams. Yes.
So last year you came out with the Wave 1,
Yep.
which was the launch of the game. Then you came out with the Metroplex deck, which was considered Wave 1A, and it was just a single deck. Then you came out with Rise of the Combiners, and you've just recently announced Wave 3. What is Wave 3?
So Wave 3 is super exciting. It's called War for Cybertron Siege 1. War for Cybertron is the current expression inside the Transformers Generations brand, and it is a retelling from the very beginning of the history of Transformers, and it starts with the conflict between Autobot and Decepticon factions on Cybertron. So we're going all the way back before the Autobots ever came to Earth. This is millions of years ago, and there's some really interesting things here. They're at war, so the Transformers factions are much more organized along the lines of an army than they have been in, say, when they're fighting on Earth. So Optimus Prime is General Optimus Prime, the leader of the Autobots. And the other really interesting thing is this is Cybertron. They've never been to Earth, so there are no Earth vehicles.
Right.
These are Cybertronian modes of the characters. And these have shown up in a number of places in the Transformers universe, but here we're really showing them off. We also are syncing up entirely with the War for Cybertron Siege toy line, which means that a lot of the new toys that are released in this line you'll be able to see in the trading card game. One of the coolest things about a trading card game is that we print a lot of cards, far more cards than can be included in a toy line. So one of the unique things that we represent inside of War for Cybertron as a sort of franchise is we get to show a lot of characters who aren't in the toy line and what they look like on Cybertron back in time. And so we worked with Hasbro. I mean, Wizards is Hasbro, right? Like we're wholly owned subsidiary, so it's really easy. Our colleagues over there on the Transformers creative team, we collaborated with them to redesign many characters who are in the toy line so that we can show off what they look like back in time on Cybertron. For example, there were these 3 characters called the Firecons from Generation 1 toy line way back in 84, 85.
I had one of those. Yeah.
And you remember what its gimmick was?
Yeah, it was the sparking, wasn't it?
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
Like each one of these characters, you pressed a button and they shot fire out of their mouth. So we worked with Hasbro, and the designs are very, very 80s, right? Like it's a much older design ethic. It's not the way that we would represent characters now. So we worked with Hasbro and some noted Transformers artists, in this case Marcelo Materi, to redesign these characters so that they looked like modern Transformers designs but set on Cybertron. And that's been really exciting for the Transformers fan community, not just the game-playing fan community, but the fan community as a whole, because we get to show what a lot of these characters look like during the War for Cybertron.
That is awesome. So that is coming out soon. What is the release date for that?
So that is global release date, June 28th.
So global means Canada as well. That means we're going to actually see it on that date as well.
Global means Canada.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that's a really good point you bring up, Tico. So we've noticed, of course, we come back from PAX East in March, and we're excited. You showed us the Rise of the Combiners, and we go to our local store, and there's no Rise of the Combiners. We haven't received it yet. So can you talk a little bit about what's happened with the Canadian distribution of the game? Because it seems like we have Wave 1, but nothing else has come to Canada yet.
So the first thing I can say is good news. All of Wave 2 releases tomorrow in Canada.
Yes, that's exciting.
Good.
And starting with Wave 3 on June 28th, all of North America, actually all of the English-speaking world where Transformers is sold, so US, Canada, UK, ANZAC, will all release beginning the same date. So honestly, what happened is Transformers has some very critical standards for how we put out products and make sure that we maintain maintain our business in accordance with the local laws of the country. And Canadian laws require a very, very different style of packaging than the United States does.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Our French packaging would make a lot of sense, actually.
Yes.
And you'll notice that all of Transformers products that are released in Canada are bilingual packaging.
That's right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that took us a little bit more time than we expected to get that synced in with the production line. And we've solved that issue, and that's why Wave 3 is launching simultaneously.
Awesome. It's such a little thing that really can delay a product, isn't it?
Yep, it really is. And it was something that we had been working super hard. Since we found out that this issue existed, we've been working super hard to overcome it. And our awesome project management team has figured out a solution that lets us get everything done in time, right? Because there's these really weird bounds on both ends. On one end, we want to wait as long as possible before we settle on what the characters are in a particular set so that we can sync up with the toy line and get as much data as possible from the play environment to make changes that are most reactive to what's going on. And at the same time, we need to start much earlier in order to get our packaging done, particularly bilingual packaging. Yeah. So we think we solved that problem, and we're looking forward to Canadian stores running in-store play starting June 28th.
Awesome.
I have a cool note for Canadian listeners.
Sure.
Every store in Canada outside of Quebec, where the trading card game is not for sale, each of those non-Quebec stores will be receiving an in-store play kit, which contains 4 character cards that are to support play in stores. To help support the release of War for Cybertron, we have Private Smashdown, who's a unique card only available at that event. That's one of the new Battle Masters, which are characters who convert from robot into weapon that another character can pick up and shoot.
Cool.
And then there's a bunch of gold foil character cards that are really nice and unique premium treatment, not found in booster pack premium cards.
Now, is that the organized play that you're talking about here?
It's one aspect of it,
Okay.
and it's a really important part. One of the things that's been really, really exciting is watching store communities form. Right, like this is why we play games, right? Like you play games for a lot of reasons, but I would say one of the common ones is so you can have great experiences with other people who share something that you like, and that happens in local game stores. And so we've seen local game stores build communities. We've seen people build communities at their local game stores, and it's been really exciting. But a lot of stores need support in order to build that community, and that's one of the 3 parts of organized play. These in-store play kits support in-store play so that stores can reward participation in their in-store events. The other parts relate to more highly competitive play. At Origins, coming up very soon actually, and at Gen Con later this summer, we'll have larger competitive events that will have a lot of really cool prizes. For example, $10,000 US cash prize pool that's going to be split among the top 32 players. Products. If you place in the top 8 at Origins, you'll get War for Cybertron Siege booster boxes way earlier than the release date, so you can get a cool sneak peek at them. And all of these events, the in-store play and the tournaments at Origins and Gen Con are leading up to what we call the Energon Invitational, which will happen at PAX Tabletop in December.
Oh, awesome. We're going to be there.
Yeah, we've actually
That's fantastic.
Yes.
That is fantastic. So that big event is the sort of the capstone for this year's play, and it is an invitation-only tournament. You can earn an invitation by either winning a qualifying event at your local store or doing well, placing in the top 16 at either Gen Con or Origins, and there'll be a couple of last-chance qualifiers on site. But those players who qualify and play in this larger event, there's a lot of really cool stuff there. We expect to see the highest skill level of play, which is exciting to watch. And the people who place well will share a $20,000 prize pool. There will be some really interesting and unique toy and TCG products, and the champion has an opportunity to collaborate with Hasbro and Wizards to design a character card for the trading card game.
That is awesome.
Well, that's really cool. Like any character they want, they can any three from canon.
So you can't create a new character from whole cloth. This is picking a character who's from canon. Of course, we have to approve it, and the Transformers creative team has to approve it.
Yeah.
Yes, then you work with us to help design that character.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I have one question for you before we let you go. And this is not necessarily about the game itself, but you have mentioned that this game contains many different size cards.
Yes.
It's got the big, huge Metroplex. It's got your standard size. Now you've got the micro ones that are coming out.
Yep. It's 3 total.
Yeah, 3 different size cards. So have you thought about, or are you ever going to maybe provide some kind of a storage solution for these? Because it's very hard to keep those cards all together because of their different sizes. So do you have suggestions for players when they start collecting of what to do with them all?
Absolutely. So our friends over at Ultra Pro make card sleeves and storage solutions for the Transformers trading card game.
Well, they do.
Metroplex is a little bit different. Like, he's really big.
Yeah.
And he's a one of a kind.
He is a one of a kind. There's another Titan-sized card. That size of card we call Titan size, and that was a promo card version of Omega Supreme. So there's technically 2.
I love Omega Supreme.
Right? You're going to be a happy person. So our friends at Ultra Pro produce Transformers themed storage solutions and protective products.
Oh wow! Wait,
Okay. Yeah,
wait. Protective products, including your 3-sided card?
So 3-sided cards, they unfolded, they fit into an oversized card sleeve, and folded, they can fit into a standard size card sleeve.
Okay.
Okay, but there's not a folding sleeve.
There is not a folding sleeve.
Well, I think Ultra Pro needs to get on creating a folding sleeve.
I mean, he can just step on it, right?
Awesome, Drew. Is there anything else you want us to know about Transformers? What we can expect in the future? Anything you can tell us?
Yeah. I have one thing to share with you, and a question for each of you.
Sure.
So the one thing to share is War for Cybertron Siege 1 has that very prominent 1 at the end of it, which implies we're going to resolve what happens with the war in perhaps something called War for Cybertron Siege 2.
Siege 2, baby? Yeah,
That
exactly.
would make sense.
And this is really a message to all of the Decepticon fans out there. Because, we did have 2 sets, which does lead to some thematic possibilities, like having perhaps a slightly more Autobot theme in Siege 1 and a slightly more Decepticon theme in Siege 2. And so for those Decepticon fans out there, like me, I'm one of them, we have some really, really giant surprises for you in Siege 2 that will make you really happy to be a Decepticon fan.
Oh, awesome.
Excellent.
We look forward to that.
And then my question for you is, which character would you want to see us put into the trading card game?
All right. My all-time favorite, and this is a toy I had as a kid, and I played with it a ton, was Soundwave with all of the cassettes.
I was going to say that. Soundwave somehow have cassettes coming out of Soundwave.
I had all of the cassettes. I had I had absolutely everything you could get. I think I got one of them was like a Japanese import that I had to get. But I had those all to get. I wish when we moved to BC, my parents left half my stuff there, and I'm very disappointed. I wish I still had that stuff. But I would love to see some form of Soundwave where you could, like, similar to Metroplex, where you have cards that you pull from underneath, where the cassettes come out and can be a part of that as a set.
I would second that.
So, in War for Cybertron Siege 1, there is the Cybertronian version of Soundwave, and also Ravage and Laserbeak. So, in War for Cybertron Siege, Soundwave isn't a cassette player because he's never been to Earth. He's actually as the alt mode.
Okay.
And he can deploy what in this world are called the Spy Patrol, which are the what we would call mini cassettes if they were Earth. He can deploy them, or he can mount them like armor on his shoulders.
Oh wow! I'm sorry. What did you say he was?
He's a spaceship.
A spaceship. Okay.
Yeah. And so that is the first Soundwave in the game. But there is more than one Soundwave character who's going to be released in 2019. So stay tuned.
Excellent.
There will be another Soundwave, at least one more Soundwave, possibly two more Soundwaves, released in 2019.
Awesome. Now, what about any characters from Beast Wars or like the Transmetals or even Beast Machines? What about that?
So we love Beast Wars, and we would want to do an entire. If we were going to do something with Beast Wars, no promises, but if we were going to do something with Beast Wars, we'd want it to be at least an entire set, right? Like not sprinkle characters here or there. In the same way that Combiners, we did an entire set focusing on that subline of Transformers. We want to do the same thing for Beast Wars so that we can give it the love and attention, because we know that for an entire generation of Transformers fans, Beast Wars is Transformers.
For sure.
And that's the Predacons and the Maximals have as much resonance with that generation of Transformers fans as Autobots and Decepticons do with other generations. And we think that's great, and we love that sub part of the franchise. And no promises, but eventually I imagine us getting to Beast Wars.
Awesome.
One more quick question. Is there any thought of bringing any other franchises in? Like, I know Hasbro has G.I. Joe, like a G.I. Joe versus Transformers or something like that. I know they used to.
Would you want to see that?
I would. I'm a fan of the G.I. Joe stuff, and I like the sort of crossover, like the Batman versus Ninja Turtles that they've done in the comics and stuff like that. I like it when they sort of have those universes meet like that.
So no promises, but I'll certainly talk about that with the team.
Okay.
Very cool. Very cool.
Cool.
I guess you were talking about favorites. I've always had favorites of the triple changers and the six changers. I believe you have some triple changers in the set already.
That's correct. We've got two of them. We've got Springer, who is the helicopter car robot.
Yep.
And then we have the Decepticon tank plane robot.
Blitzwing?
That's correct.
Yes.
So we chose one early combiner character, triple changer, and then one who was a little bit more recent design. And we will absolutely return to triple changers. It was something that a lot of people really enjoyed. It also uses the three-side mechanic, so it was like plane, tank, robot mode.
Ah, gotcha. Perfect. Awesome. Drew, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about Transformers TCG. Tico and I were very excited when we played the game. We're still very excited, and now we're anxiously awaiting Wave 2 and 3 to come here to Canada.
I was really happy that you guys asked me to come back. I loved our discussion at PAX, and I'm super happy to be on the show.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
How can people find out more information other than going to their local store? Should they look you up online? What's the best way to get more information about TCG?
So look us up on social media. The official Transformers trading card game account on Facebook and Instagram is @TransformersTCG. Or for more product information, you can go to transformerstcg.com. And that, if you are learning how to play, we have great how to play videos on that site.
Awesome. Drew, thanks so much once again for joining us.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Drew, for coming on the show. We had a really great meeting with Drew back at PAX East where we were introduced to the Transformers TCG, and you and I fell in love with the game like right away. So
yeah, silly things that make us spend our money.
They make us spend our money. And speaking of spending of money, good words there. Words are hard, Tico.
Some of them are.
Yes, some of them definitely are. So during that interview, you may have noticed or heard that he said that today, May 31st, in Canada, we would finally be getting, Wave 2 and 3. And sure enough...
Nope, Wave 2. Wave 2 in Canada.
Wave 2, right? Wave 3...
Wave 2.
No. Yeah, June. Right, June.
Wave
2 is here, including the new Bumblebee versus Megatron set, which I picked up today. So look for that on our channel soon. Tico and I are going to do a playthrough of that, and we'll record the session. So who's going to win, Bumblebee or Megatron? It's interesting that they pit those two together.
Yeah, because you'd think it would be Optimus versus
right?
Megatron, but I think that because there's so many Optimuses
True.
already in the sets.
Optimus is
Optimi.
That's right.
Optimi.
So yeah, so look for that. We may even pit Metroplex against Devastator. See how that goes.
I think we should be playing every single possible variation. So there'll be like 500 videos coming to you by next week. You have to get the editing done on that.
And Tico will edit. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Anyway, that is it. Once again, thank you, Drew, for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to speak with you once again. And we'll be seeing him again at PAX Unplugged later this year. But that is it for now for episode number 3. That is it. Episode 329, done, in the bag. We are finished. And of course, you can follow me everywhere as Ziantane, and that is Xiantayne. And give us a like, subscribe, and comment right here on this channel, right down there. There's a whole bunch of things to press.
Lower.
Just press them.
Where he's pointing, but a little lower.
Press them.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Second Place. You can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/OMGNexus. You can follow the show on Twitter at the OMG Hour, and we are still going to do some 7 degrees of translation. So we, throw those in. We're going to have a few different games that are going to be rotating through, but we still want to have some of your feedback on that. So send us some of your entries.
That's right, and we have an idea for another new segment, which we may try next week. So look for that. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for watching episode number 329. We'll be back next week.
Bye, guys.
This has been an OMGNexus.com production.